Such a big show today. Big introduction now. You've been watching me. Let me know if the music's too loud, but I am Rising Phoenix AuroRa. I am the founder of Rising Phoenix Mystery School Wellness Center, which you see right behind me. It is an honor to be here with you. This is a big episode today because you've been watching the Columbian Worlds Exposition. You've also been watching the Antarctica-Tartaria series that has over 100 episodes. Perhaps you also purchased book 3, The Lost Cities of Tartaria, that I published last year. All my books are available under Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So, and you all, how much dedication we put to this. I knew back in, was that 2018? 2019. Is that too loud? Music's a little loud. Okay, thank you. How's that? Hopefully that's good. Never know how it's supposed to sound, but yes, I knew back in 2019, going in 2020, I had, all of a sudden, I had this like premonition. I was in my home, and I was reviewing like information about like someone talking about like the old maps and how they were prior to the current reset. Okay, so what I can tell you is that the workings that we have had done in the now through the resets and the information that we've all bringing out, not just me but many other people as well, have come into fruition. And I have the proof for you because I have videos and pictures and you name it, as usual. You all, it's not just a remote viewing or a vision. It's really the vision coming true in the now of what really has occurred to the memory of humankind. We're going to be going through a lot of information today, and we probably won't be able to finish it in one video, but you definitely want to watch till the end. So in case you don't know who I am a spiritual revolutionist. And as I mentioned, I am the founder of Rising Phoenix Mystery School Wellness Center, where I host retreats, workshops, both online and in person. Starting next month in June, the second Sunday of the month, which is going to be officially, so just letting you know, I know I mentioned it last time, June 15th, we're going to have a 1 p.m. Central Time tea with AuroRa here, which you'll get to chat with me for an hour, and you'll also drink for the hour, drink tea with me if you like, and then we will go into an A.U.R.A, hypnosis, past life regression, entity removal group with a group. So it's sound bath healing. These sound baths are just wow, you all. You definitely again want to come if you're near, or you're gonna be near that time, or make it out here, guys. It's gonna be incredible. So keep an eye on that. Should be getting that out in the next couple of days on how to sign up for that for next month. Thank you. We have Mother's Day coming up, you all. I think as a mother, this is quite incredible. I'm a mother as well. Both of human children and furry children, and there's nothing more beautiful to know that the history and all those history buffs that have been looking onto all the histories and trying to figure out why it didn't make any sense. You all, this is a series for you, where we are completely have Mandela and shifted into over 100 videos, and my beginning of my Tartaria book shifted back the memory, you all, of Tartaria. I have so many questions for you too, as the audience, as the people. like you're gonna have to tell me what you are also seeing out there. It is so much, you all, so get ready for an incredible show. So I could come sign up to my risingphoenixaura.com. I am a family-owned business, so love you for supporting my family-owned business, and all of that I do is in service to others, selflessly, and in service to the children, and saving the children, bringing back the memory of the children. It's so big. So, you know, teaching you parents so that you could go teach your children the true memory, and helping their mind stay consciousness, wide and awake, their consciousness, you know, questioning the New World Order and what they're being taught, you know, in whatever school or through other curriculums, you know, to not just, you know, reform as they are soldiers, you know, or mind controlled beings. So that's number one to me. But you can come book the A.U.R.A hypnosis, past life regression sessions, raw Reiki, one-on-one counselings, mentorships with me. You could do those also, all three that I mentioned, in person. The Quantum Galactic Akashic reading, come sign up. I have availability in about 2 weeks, so let's come meet me, which is pretty soon. And usually I'm booked out, you know, a couple months, but come sign up. And so Quantum Galactic Akashic readings to remember who you are. And my next retreat is in September. Love to see you there. Also keep in mind, I do also the raw Reiki certification, which is just one Saturday. I think that is next in June. So, you know, check out my website, risingphoenixaura.com, for more information. Let's get started, you all. To support this video and all that I do, sign up to any of my memberships, buy the books, and go to Patreon and my websites where you can sign up to any of the memberships. I am going to reference different locations where you can find more information. This video is all about like new content, new information as always. And so I will, at that point, we have Gina, beautiful Gina, in a chat. She's going to be putting the links there for you to make it easy for you to be able to access what I'm mentioning. All right, you guys ready? Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, you all. The only way that what's happening on Earth, the way timelines shift, is that mandalas are constantly happening. If you don't know what a mandala is, it's like, you know, the paradox of Nelson Mandela, and how some people remember something different, like, you know, that he died. Some people remember that he was alive. You know, he died in jail when he was, you know, placed in jail. Or some people remember that he got out, he was released. So there's so many memories. So what happens is that we are such a vast consciousness in our brain. We have so many timelines going on. You're familiar to the Antarctica-Tartaria series. By the way, this is part 4. So this one specifically, though, within the Antarctica-Tartaria series, the Worlds Columbian Exposition Museum, which I'm going to talk to you about in Chicago, this one's part 4 within that series. So you want to go watch the first 3 because they're so detailed, and so that you could really understand today's content. There's been, as I've taken, you know, some time, I don't know, you know, it's the first video. What date was that? During that time, since we began, and then we found the book, which is what we're going to be seeing today here. The World Columbian Exposition 1893 Tartarian book that I found at a bookstore, right? Okay, since then, this world here that you someday will get to read the most important parts in here, right? Has Mandela in, keeps manifesting into material in a physical form, in memories, both somehow in the collective, but also individually. So I'm really interested again in knowing what your memory is. So do write in comments. As you know, everything I'm sharing is so important to the real Earth history, because what happens is that when they mess with the timelines, the invertedness, the you know, dark aliens, the bad guys, I guess we'll call them that. The ones that reset humanity every 100 years. Nobody knows who they are. Yes, we do. And Get ready, you all. This is going to transition us into the same series within the series, but it's going to place us into what are the Cabbage Patch Kids, guys. And that's going to be epic. You're going to freak out. Additionally, you already, I'm sure, started looking into it. So we're going to put all the understanding, the confusion to what happened in that time space. And because it's not just all the like benevolence or the data is coming back, it's also some of this, you know, these resets that they purposely erased is also coming forth. And we need to understand it so that we, one, won't allow for it to happen in the future timelines where the AI is trying to control humankind, like the movie Terminator, X-Men, you know, Days Future Past, and we gotta rewrite this stuff. I mean, all those movies are there. You watch them all. Divergent, Hunger Games, you name it. I mean, especially the AI ones. And we are continuously shifting out those inversions by the memory, by regaining the true history. So the only way to do that is when we gain the histories, is that what happens is that we bring back the original timelines, the truth of what happened to humanity or what happened to us individually. But what happened is that they erased the memory, they wiped the people. And it is a lot more than we realize how big it is in the ways that they shifted the memory of humankind, especially in the 1800s going into the 1900s. Okay. All right, so how we doing, everyone? Incredible that you are here. Thank you for the current 76 streaming. You all, here we go. Okay, so before I go into the museum, guys, that I found pretty much an entire museum dedicated in Chicago to the World's Fair Columbian Expositions, you all. Wait till I show you all the pictures and videos. Entire museum. Remember how they used to, like, you know, gaslight us and be like, what? That wasn't real? Or remember when I started off in November 2022 and I ran into Nashville, right? And it's in right here in book 3. And we found Athena, golden Athena, and they were, you know, gaslighting us, telling us, oh, this golden Athena, that's just paint on her. And I was telling you guys, I was like, no, there's no way that's paint. That is gold. It feels like energetically gold. And I go back like a year later, and now they're saying the truth, but they're claiming, oh, it's just plated real 24 karat gold. So you understand? So when we find things, we find that they're inverted, but then we bring light to them. And what happens is that when we bring light and truth to them, right? Golden Athena, she's huge. In Nashville, the Parthenon there, right? You guys remember that? It was an epic moment. Epic. Tennessee Centennial. Book 3, Lost Cities of Tartaria. And back then we're talking about it. It's like, no, it existed, it really did. And all the rest of humanity, especially those who were asleep, they're like, what are you talking about? Giants don't exist, you know, right? Now there's museums in Chicago, at least, that has the World's Fair. Oh, memorabilia. Okay, you all, check out book 3. So, all right, so let me go into this now. Here we go. So for you to understand that, first, we need to understand, this is a really nice video. It's like 60 minutes long, 1606. One of the A.U.R.A practitioners, which again, you can find A.U.R.A practitioners around the world, and go to aurapractitioners.com and talk to them and chat with them and schedule sessions with them. They're incredible. Okay, for A.U.R.A hypnosis, raw Reiki, and quantum galactic Akashic readings, which I offer as well. So here, let's listen to this for a minute. So I'm just going to give you an overview, and this, you know, documentary really is it's pretty amazing. And it's called The Last American Who Remembered the Old World, right? So we talked about The Last American. Do you want to watch that part series? Because that is another time when they were called Americans, not Americans back then, even before they discovered the New World of America. There was Caucasians in all the states that something happened to them. And you're gonna have to watch that series to understand what happened to them. I think it's 4 episodes.
Because those 2,900 interviews captured something no textbook ever could. The first-hand memories of a...
So he's explaining that basically what they did in there was a federal project that they went and took everybody's stories down in the 1890 census. Let me try to remember. Hold on, what he said, what year? Right here.
Trying to understand why so many American courthouses and government buildings from that era feature proportions that don't match the people who supposedly used them. The same question I keep running into. But the deeper I went into those archives, the more I realized the buildings weren't the real story.
So
the people were. Because those 2,900 interviews captured something no textbook.
And then what year was that? I'm trying to remember.
Then they filed them in the Library of Congress, conducted between 1936 and 1940.
Okay, so from 1936 to 1940. Okay, let's understand this in the real history. 1936 to 1940, okay? That would have been before the fires, like the 1871 fire. And I'm sorry, after. So 1936 and 1940 would have been after the Great Chicago Fire. It would have been after the Worlds Exposition. It would have been a time that much has happened. Their world has completely shifted. The people who are still alive, whether they were children, toddlers, or adults, something has happened. Do we know that there's fires? There's Gina, right at the top. How many fires happened? I know that there was many alone in Lake Michigan. In the time frame, I think it was, I forgot who mentioned it in our mystery school, but there was fires all along all of Lake Michigan that happened all at the same time. They really are not telling us the truth in 1871, which links back to the museum, which I'll tell you about in a bit. So, okay, so these are the people again that went through that. All right, so they made a census and logged and went and took notes of people's stories.
The program was called the Federal Writers Project, a branch of Roosevelt's New Deal that employed out-of-work journalists, novelists, and researchers to document the lives of ordinary citizens. They collected 2,900 life histories. Then they filed them in the Library of Congress, where they sat mostly unread for nearly 40 years. I found them because I was looking for something else. I was tracing architectural records from the 1870s, trying to understand why so many American courthouses and government buildings from that era feature proportions that don't match the people who supposedly used them. The same question I keep running into.
So he goes into their stories and how they tell of a different world, a completely different world that was basically, more advanced than they tell us. And, these are the people of that time space and their stories.
Generation that carries the oral history of the old world, and they're almost gone. Mary Kelly was born in 1851 in Southfield, Michigan. She lived to 113 and died in 1964. She was alive before the Civil War and survived long enough to see television in every American home. Maggie Barnes was born to a formerly enslaved woman in the early 1880s and lived to approximately 1150.
So how incredible that they logged. But what happened was that they burned them. They burned those stories. Eventually, they were basically targeted by the government, and then they burned all the stories, and they deleted all the stories that they had taken in the people's real stories. Okay, after they had had published them basically, or kept logs of them. What are those? They're called the census, right? So they got rid of them. Now, somewhere along the way, let me see what's here.
Family received an entire...
He's talking about, like what he's discovered looking at the database, right here.
Destruction. The 1890 census.
Okay, but there's...
Local backup.
Oh, there's a... Hold on. I'll point I need to show you really quick here. On the last American, 3 minutes in, right here. You need to hear this part, and then we'll move on from here. Okay, here, listen to this. We need to help Mother Earth, Gaia, because she still carries that residual energy of what they did to her.
39, after congressional hearings, turned over to state control and effectively shut down. The interviews were boxed up, not published in any accessible form until
Was it right here?
Tartarians born in the 1850s alone. Dozens more lived past 100. Hundreds lived past 90. An entire generation of witnesses whose memories spanned two completely different worlds. The government had the chance to record all of them. It recorded 2,900. Then it stopped. The project was defunded in 1939 after congressional hearings, turned over to state control, and effectively shut down. The interviews were boxed up, not published in any accessible form until the
For those of you who have been watching Antarctica-Series, remember how I explained without knowing then that it was the 1930s when it happened? There's the proof, which I didn't have those details then.
1970s. 30 years of silence around the last first-hand testimony of Americans who remembered what came before. Before what, exactly? That's where October 8, 1871 becomes impossible to ignore. Every American learns about the Great Chicago Fire. Mrs. O'Leary's cow, the wooden city, the rebuilding. What almost no one learns is what happened the same night at the same hour across 3 states simultaneously. In Peshtigo, Wisconsin, a firestorm consumed the entire town in approximately 1 hour. Between 2,000 and 2,500 people perished, making it the deadliest wildfire in American recorded history. The fire burned 1.2 million acres. Survivors describe winds strong enough to lift adults off the ground, flames that moved faster than a person could run, and a heat so intense that people crossing open ground simply burst into flame without being touched by visible fire.
Did you hear that? That's not a fire. What is that? What is that, you all? We need to discover that. We need to understand what would be such a gust of wind that would lift adults and also, without the flames touching them, burst into fire. Sounds like some kind of gas. Gina, you know about what would cause something like this? Think about it. Let me know. Write it down. If you could think about what kind of gas out there, research it, Gina, would cause fire, and they talk about oxygen's wiped out, fire to just happen without the touch, like everything or people became like be able to spontaneously combust. What would cause an atom to spontaneously combust? Get ready, because this goes into what I'm about to show you.
Peter Pernin, the parish priest who survived by submerging himself in the Peshtigo River, published his eyewitness account in 1874. He described a phenomenon.
Try to find him, Gina. He said Peter
Survived by submerging himself in the simply burst into flame without being touched by visible fire. Reverend Peter Pernin,
his eyewitness account. Is there anything we can find on that?
Parish priest who survived by submerging himself in the Peshtigo River, published his eyewitness account in 1874. He described a phenomenon that doesn't match any normal wildfire behavior. The available oxygen was consumed so rapidly that people who showed no burns were found deceased, as if the air itself had been weaponized. The fire created its...
Let's hear that again. For those of us, we teach in our school quantum physics.
Behavior. The available oxygen was consumed so rapidly that people...
What would consume, what chemical, what reaction in the quantum, in the periodic table would consume oxygen so rapidly? Gina, let me know in the doc. That would make the oxygen completely disappear or gone, you know, like, or suck it out.
Who showed no burns were found deceased, as if the air itself had been weaponized.
The air itself had been weaponized.
The fire created its own weather system, a vortex of superheated wind that behaved less like a forest fire.
Okay, add to that the fire created its own kind of, seems like some kind of like friction, vortex friction, but it's not positive. So what kind of weapons? We know aliens have these kind of weapons, but what happened? Oh my God, that is insane. In 1871, guys, this is not like a regular fire. This is something directly. And then that goes into, I mean, this book, I think, which we'll get to eventually, is, you know, an account, written book of San Francisco disaster and their fires. A completely history of San Francisco disaster and Mount Vesuvius horror, death and ruined, eruption and earthquake, which I also have magazines from the past too. So we'll dedicate a whole understanding to what these fires are, but for now we'll begin to start thinking about it to understand it when we do go over it in the future, because as we know, this is not something normal. Yeah, that is definitely not the way fire reacts. Okay, so let me see what we have, what data we have on specifically the fires. That's what I wanted to show you, because the history museum that I found is about the fires, you all. Okay, so let's see what Gina has for us here. Okay. So some answers to some of my questions. So first, Columbian Exposition video, September 26, 25. Over 37 fires with over 3 million acres burned. There were 4 major ones on the same day of October 8, 1871 in the Lake Michigan area. And then you could look into it further if you find it, but I know that it kept going all around the Lake Michigan. Okay, so, and then, okay, here, let's see, so gases, okay, so gases or vapors with low auto ignition temperatures, especially when mixed with air and confined, can ignite spontaneously. Yes, confined, because I had a dream about that last night. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. I dreamt of a fire. I just totally just put that together now. Okay. And there was like this dark agent woman, and she was bad. Like one of those bad women that like they're bad. There's something really wrong with them, you know, like they're, or men, you know, that could come across like this, like they mean evil and harm to others. And what happened was that Archangel Michael, I was working with him and looking at the timelines, he was showing me like these, so there were some kind of bad agents. Okay, we'll discover this further. Now these, in the memory dream, we were finding the fires. So there was a fire under, okay, now I understand this. So there's a fire happening. So say you're in a house, in an apartment, your floor, say first floor, but something's happening under, and the fire's coming from under, and you can't explain where the fire's coming from, but all you know is that it's trying to come up. So in other words, basically, say the level at the bottom before the floor you're at would be the other timeline, like the inverted timeline. The below, the lower density timeline, you understand, would be lower, and then you're up here trying to fix and heal the timelines from these fires that were not fires. So let's delete that. They were not fires. I mean, they were a complete attack onto humankind that was bioweapon, some kind of bioweapon, okay? So to wipe the people's memory, why were they wiping the people's memory? And then I remember I was watching the angels work on this, and so what they did is that the fire was supposed to spread up to the higher timelines according to their inverted dark timeline down here, right? Part of the artificial wombs. AI inverted timelines, right? Okay. But it couldn't, because what happened is that we had become aware of it as a collective. So then instead, wherever the fires would try to come up from this false timeline, we would stomp on it. You know, you could stomp on the fire, contain it, and then you wouldn't let it come rise. And I remember the Divine Mother was in that memory, and she was telling this in this perspective female dark agent, you did it, and now everyone's going to know that you did it. Everyone's going to know. So which comes to exactly what I talked about without knowing at the beginning of this video, is the memory is key. Okay, we have to keep questioning. We're not sheeple, right? That we're not. Question is, most people who are sheeple, who are just falling in line, who are really confused whether they're a dog, a woman, or a female, or, you know, what, black, white, Hispanic, whatever names you want to call these races. They're so confused on what they are because they're not really people. Most of them are not. Now there's some people who are just a little tricked and compromised and infringed upon by some black magic, sorcery from past lives or current lives, and you know how stuff works because you watch A.U.R.A, Hypnosis, Past Life Regression, right? Check that out. All those videos I have on that, and my first 2 books are about the memory of humankind. Wow, that puts it at a deeper level for me. Book 1 and book 2. Why regaining those memories that were not so nice, right? Were so important to regain them back. They're tough. You know, most people will read through book 1 very quickly. It has like 700 pages, right? But some people, it takes some time because it's like, whoa, how could this be? You know, these people, poor people, like goodness. And then you realize, I probably had at least one of these similar lives somewhere in time, space, on Earth, or another dimension. And then you gotta, you know, come into awareness so you can start healing the trauma. You realize that trauma is related to this life, and that's why you can't figure yourself out and get your, you know, self out of a lower density high enough. The memory, rewriting the memory and the DNA. Okay. Wow. Okay, so we understand that. Let's go into this a bit into quantum physics. So gases or vapors with low autoignition temperatures, especially when mixed with air and confined. Because what happens is fire will keep going. Gina, correct? Like, let me know. Fire will keep going and initially will consume oxygen in some way. But basically, like, the chemicals that are in the air, besides oxygen and all the other chemicals that are inside the air, will spread the fire. So say like there's a fire and it's in a room. You open the door, it's gonna go, right? But if it's contained, so how did they contain the environment of Chicago that they targeted and the rest of Lake Michigan? And we know that through the series, we know that it's Divine Mother's dragon heart because America's in the shape of a dragon, right? Female dragon pregnant. So they targeted her heart to get at the rest of the states, in Chicago by burning her with some bioengineered vapors. Okay. So prevention involves controlling temperature, moisture, and oxygen exposure and avoiding accumulation of flammable gases in confined spaces. So Gina, what will happen when if oxygen, right here in that first bullet point, what will happen if oxygen kind of evaporates or disappears? What happens to the fire? Does it ignite it further? Does it expand it, or does it stop it? What does it do? Does fire need oxygen? So fire to tetrahedron, the four elements that must be present for a fire to exist and sustain itself, okay, are heat, fuel, oxygen, and uninhabited chemical chain reaction. Removing or disrupting any one of these elements can stop or slow a fire. I feel like something sucked out the oxygen. Help me understand that. How could the oxygen be minimized? So much so, because I feel like the oxygen would protect the fire and would control and seize the fire if needed. But in this circumstance, they evaporated the oxygen, and it feels like some kind of like an atomic bomb, but it wasn't. Well, I'll keep remote viewing and figuring this out with you all. So, all right. And then gases and mixtures that can spontaneously ignite: hydrocarbon vapors, gasoline, propane, natural gas. Gasoline, propane, natural gas. When mixed with the air in right concentration, they could auto-ignite if heated to their auto-ignition temperature. That feels like some kind of natural vapor that dissipated the oxygen, because the oxygen helped control. So oxidizing gases like oxygen, enriched air, or ozone can accelerate oxidation of fuels, lowering the effective ignition temperature. Exactly. You understand? So if oxygen was sucked out somehow, what the heck is this? Drying oils and their vapors. Inside linseed oil. Hold on. Losing. Where? I lost where I was at. Hold on. Okay, so drying oils and their vapors in seed oil, cottonseed oil, when observed in rags or cloth, oxidation generates heat that can cause ignition without flame firehouse. That's that. There we go. We're getting to it. That's what it is, right there. Some kind of dryness, oils and vapors. But if you live in Chicago, you know that it's very humid here. What did they do to the water and the humidity in the water to dry it enough to make it flammable? Pyrite, crystal pyrite oxidation products in coal or mine tailings. Oxidation releases heat that can ignite nearby combustibles. Wikipedia. Okay. All right. So mechanisms without visible fires. Auto ignition. The gas or vapor mixture reaches its auto ignition temperature, triggering a self-sustaining combustion chain reaction. Science Insights. Okay. .org. So slow oxidation in confined spaces. Oxidation reactions of organic matter or certain metals release heat that accumulates until ignition occurs. Firehouse. And then there's also bacterial fermentation. In organic materials, microbes produce heat that can raise temperature to ignition. and that's Wikipedia. And then thermal runaway. Heat generation exceeds heat loss, causing a rapid temperature rise until ignition. Wikipedia. They said that it made of its own storm weather that day. What can suck out oxygen during a storm? During a storm, lightning is the main natural process that can temporarily alter oxygen levels in the area when a lightning bolt strikes. The extreme heat up to 30,000 Celsius breaks apart nitrogen and oxygen molecules in the air. These processes, called electrical dissociation, splits diatomic oxygen into individual oxygen atoms. These atoms can then recombine into ozone or react with other atmospheric gases from nitrogen oxides and northern woodlands. Those of you who are part of my mystery school, I'm sure you got that. So, and those of you, I'm sure, that are not part of mystery school, got it too. But but we talk about these things there. So key effect areas. Oxygen atom production. The dissociation releases free oxygen atoms which can join with other oxygen molecules to form ozone and remain reactive. Ozone formation. So yeah, I'm seeing, okay, so to everything that you've been added, Gina, thank you, is I'm seeing, so I'll go with the summary with you all now that I'm finding it here. So ozone formation. Ozone is a form of oxygen but has different chemical properties and can be harmful at a ground level. Okay. Nitrogen generate lightning produces nitric oxide, which reacts with oxygen with nitrogen dioxide, contributing to ground level ozone. Atmospheric chemistry changes the reactive species. So what happened in 1871 that allowed for them to do that? That is beyond dark. They used her own chemicals against her, and Divine Mother in the dream was saying, I have found you out, you dark angel. Well, she already found you out, but the people of Earth have found you out. So think about if you live in an area, no matter where it's at, whether it's in the States or wherever, fires, Australia, those Canada fires, Africa, wherever there was fires at, think about how much trauma they've caused to the land to burn her like that, especially if these were outwardly fires that they could spontaneously combust people on fire. Okay, so just think about that entity removal, healing the land and the people. Or what if you were one of these people in a past life? Reset times. So then, while the amount of oxygen removed is small compared to the total atmosphere in localized storm environments, especially in dense thunder clouds or during intense lightning activity, these chemical changes can cause temporary localized oxygen depletion. This is why they are a strong lightning. I don't think it has to do with lightning. No. So not getting that. What I'm seeing is that they used right here. I figured it out right here. They used a type of the natural gases of Earth, gasoline, propane, natural gas of Earth. Okay. When mixed with air in the right concentration, it's called hydrocarbon vapors. They can auto-ignite. Okay. Auto ignition temperature, propane. Okay, so using that in the combination of the gas vapor mixture reaches auto ignition temperature, triggering a self-sustainable combustion. Chain reaction science side stuff work. That's what they did right there. Okay. Let me know what questions and comments. Let me, well, Gina, you're not here, so let me see what questions and comments we have here. Questions and comments you guys have. So those are the answers. I just want you to understand how horrific and deep these fires are. They're just not a normal fire, you all. Could they use iron powder? They remove oxygen from the air. They could have. Someone said, what a top so full of color. Yeah, thank you. So then about the fires. About the fires, it sounds like Hiroshima. It does. Yes. And wait till I more on that. Hold on. Okay. No flames, so laser burn. Exactly. Laser burn. And I have old magazines. We'll go into that again when we go into the fires detailedly. Only missed for some reason Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Must have been some strong protection there. Wow, powerful dream, yeah. There are also thermobaric bombs. That was the first part of the dream. Second part of the dream, there again these different agents, and these agents are from Antarctica, okay? And there is like people are driving like on their path, and there's a sharp turn, and you're going at a speed where there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to slow down fast enough, that you ended up derailing and you go into the water and you fall into the water, and then you could die because your car went into the water. You could drown in there. But what happens is that in the dream we get out on time out of the car, but everything is kind of sunk in. It's lost, you all our important items. I remember I was watching these, like, for me, I was like worried about my crystals. I was like, my crystals are in there. And then of course, like, other items that I would use for my mystery school and, and my, yeah. So, but crystals were one. So why was I worried about the crystals so it was basically a mud flood. So a type of infringement within the vapors, natural chemicals of Earth, a irregulation, a spontaneous combustion, a friction caused the fires. Okay. Definitely. I mean, we've talked about it. We found that there was some kind of UFO, something's happening. Something is happening there is definitely, I'm remote viewing and I'm seeing those UFOs like we talked about, and there's lasers happening. But it is like an atomic level of lasers at a subatomic level. What is the subatomic level? Kuan Yin began to speak about it in part 1 and part 2. That was enhanced Kuan Yin. You could watch that video. Subatomic level is where there is yet nothing yet created, but then there is at the same time, before even the atom is created, the energy and material that creates the atom. Okay, so they're dematerializing, but in this circumstance, they found some of the bodies, right? According to this, or some of them they could have probably not found. We don't know because the memories, the government deleted those archives of those census of that time space. They destroyed them. I'm sure they'll continue to come up though. They couldn't have possibly destroyed everything. Something's bound to come out, right? So, I woke up feeling Mother Earth's like imbalance, and now I understand why. So back to the dream though, right? So yes, my crystals. So why the crystals under the water? Why was that a worry for me? Because they layered. It's like, what is the true purpose of the mud floods, you all? Where they're, in other buildings and there's floors and floors under. In most of these cities, bigger cities, right? The purpose to that is that it's a layer of inversion, a layer of erased century of people, a layer of yuckiness and artificial overlaying Mother Earth's field and her natural soil, her elements, and then they use, as dark scientists would, like from Atlantis, they use her own elements that are there to really sustain life, to invert them and instead invertedly destruct, violating her. That's like, she is a body, right? We talk about that. And that's like someone using your own energy to harm others without your consent. That is the most violating, horrific thing anyone could ever do. And they're using her like that, and she does not consent. Okay. So that's what she was explaining. And in the dream, back to the second part of the dream, what happened was that I was digging. And when I was, this is what happened. So the water, right, took my car, sucked it in like a mud flood would. Then, I'm concerned about the crystals, which would have been representing like the crystal grid of Mother Earth, Gaia, the memory of her and how it's being affected. Then the water sucks out eventually, right? Like it drains. And behind me, there's all these people that got stuck too in that one turn that was way too fast. You're going too fast, you're gonna fall into the waters. All these people are behind me and they're stuck, but they survived. They didn't drown in the waters, they survived, and they are regaining the memory. And then I'm again talking to that agent in Antarctica who was keeping the frozen waters there and the memory away from us. The waters are, right, global warming, they call it global warming. Those waters are returning to us because the icebergs and the ice on these lands. Watch I survive Antarctica, because I went there physically on a cruise and went to Antarctica. You all, wow. But okay, so you could understand that more because I've been going through, I think it's 4 episodes now. I've been showing you the time, the history of what's happening really in Antarctica, right? And what the lands really look like there now in this time space. Okay, so this agent sucked, by the way. He's like, no good, whatever, no good. And he was being removed from that time space, which then tells us really the true healing that's happening coming in from the waters of Antarctica and the Arctic wall, ice wall that is melting, right? And it brings us into the fruition that is how the museum I'm about to show you comes to be, because the waters unthawed and have unfrozen through those icebergs that they've been worried about, right? The water has brought it back. Oh my God, Antarctica waters. What else is she going to bring us back? So divine. Someone said there are also thermobaric bombs. To that comment, write somewhere, Gina, what is the definition to thermobaric bombs? I think there's 2 wildfires occurring in Arizona and Georgia. I'm not sure if they've been contained. Yeah. Because, so this is how they kept fire to burning. But as I taught you all, I have, if you ever join one of my retreats, I could teach you how to touch the fire without burning, right? Just happens. So that's how they also infringed on the fire to make it to burn us. The fire is not meant to burn us, just warm us and give us source love light back and purify. And then that's how they keep from the original Chicago fires and other fires where these were, right, really false ones, alien ones. That dark curse is what's powering them. These continual wildfires all over, right? There's people talk about it like there's there's a map and there's continuous fires all over Earth. What the heck? Horrible. That they're constantly lighting. So this right here, Mother Earth, Gaia, Terra was talking in the dream and saying, I'm outing you, and now they know. And you're being removed from this timeline completely. You're not part of my organic timeline, period, because I don't consent to you, but my children know, she says now. They've regained the memory. Wow. Okay, sending love to Arizona and Georgia or anywhere where they're doing this. So which means that, okay, this is what this means, Divine Mother. Mother Earth is talking now. She says, now that you understand this, she says when they go and try to burn their fires, what the elements can do is not let them keep going. Not let them, instead the elements will work against these planned fires, ill-intended fires, so that they don't harm. More to bring the memory back, even if someone lit a fire, eventually what she's showing me is that the trees are not going to burn. Which goes into Sequoia, Yosemite Park, or Sequoia National Park. There was a fire there. We talked about it in Giant Lands of Lemuria, that video. Check that out. The fire started from inside the trees. You all remember that when you went to the retreat with me there, or you saw the video if you didn't go. There's been information about that, how trees, light up from inside. Yeah. Crazy. So this is what the trees are telling me. So the trees hold the memory, and what happens is that they are spontaneously combusting because the curse is still there, and these giant trees would be the ones holding the trees of life energies, the ecosystem of Earth. So this is happening because that inverted timeline, when these fires, telling us that a cow tipped over in Chicago, a lantern burned all of that. Wow, that is absolutely ludicrous, ridiculous. Now I understand why I was so... I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, so because the trees are holding that memory inside of them because they hold the timelines, and then they are spontaneously combusting because the curse was still there from the fires, these alien fires, laser fires, whatever. They had to have been shooting in, and that goes into the Lahaina fires, right? In Hawaii. And I made a video with Laura Eisenhower and Cosmic Mother Rising show, which you could find under Rumble, where we talked about this then. It was a laser fire. It was the same freaking grays, you all. Goes into same ones that did that to all the places everywhere. And now we've unveiled you, Mother Earth. Gaia has unveiled you, which means you can't do that. And we need to start healing the trees and the lands. Grays, but who are the grays? The grays are the future people who have taken every single jab you can think of, who were formed, who possibly could have began as clones from the Cabbage Patch Kids, which, get ready for that episode. Incubator babies. Those people. And goes back to, for those of you who want to watch the extra sensitive series, that series that is only available under my membership, extra sensitive series under my websites, okay, that one, you all. There are these dark Atlantean beings, the dark ones that stayed on the surface and continue to use that dark science. They're there, you all, and they're the masterminds to everything you can think of. And I'm not going to go into their name and who they are. You got to watch that to really understand the Philadelphia experiment. Okay? Because initially, they're the ones, the dark human kinds that have turned part android from back from Atlantis, not like now or even the future, back from Atlantis. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna keep it at. So, yeah, they're affecting through grays, and the grays in those timelines that were coming back are the initial ones that were able to, but timelines have been started to be protected according to Mother Earth, because that's what the dream was about. She says, I'm protecting the timelines now. I'm able to now because my children have awakened enough. So if she's protecting the timelines, that means I don't know if they're able to do that anymore. I think that they could cause like normal fires, like, you know, forest fires, but not fires like Lahaina, where, you know, it pushes everyone out into the water and it's uncontrollable, the fire. You saw the videos. I made though, you know, they weaponized. Okay, so watch that video to understand that, because I went in real time space when they did that there, okay? And they were after the trees then there, like this giant banyan trees that they have there, right? Okay, let me see what else you guys are writing. Sounds like a multi-phase weapon, for sure. Sounds like a bomb laser made a vacuum effect. Yep, like a dark portal that sucks in oxygen. Exactly, that's what I'm seeing. Yes, we talked about how the trees in Secure was laser targeted. They were. They're telling us. They're trying to tell us. They have that yuckiness, like that allergy, that yuckiness, that parasite, that memory of being burned by false fires. Okay. Okay, so we got to that. All right, so talk about this some more later. All right, we could share the link, Gina, but we're not gonna go into the book, but it's in case this book really, when it Mandela in into that bookstore, and then all the postcards, right? So all the videos you've been watching to this series started, keep Mandela in. All right. Oh my God, the water is bringing the memory. That's so big. Just like we said, oh my God, that's epic. Now we know that it's worked. Woohoo! Okay. All right. I'm excited about that. Okay. All right. So we understand that. All right. So it's okay. Let's go into now we're going to go into, so we're probably going to run this about 2-hour video. Okay. Okay. When we go here, all right, this is what happened. So, what happens is that someone I know is what I'll say, is driving downtown Chicago. They're passing by in front of this museum. I remember I started talking about how when we were on the boat tour and they said the Worlds Exposition that happened in Chicago. Till then, right, we're like fighting them. We're like, what? It did happen. They're like, what are you talking about? Did it happen? Now they're saying them on cruises. Okay. All right. The memory's back. Okay, so what happens is that someone I know is driving in front of this museum in Chicago, right? And as they're passing by, there's a male in front of the museum standing there, and it's like, you know, there's a lot of traffic in Chicago, so you're kind of going slow. They might have been at a light, and they look over, and there's a male with a fedora hat, African American, grabbing the hat, and he, you know, like the older, how you would do that, like greet somebody like this, he greets this person, and this person's like, you talk me? You talking to me? And then the African American man says, you again, and he's like, the man with the fedora, you know, he's like, you know, and then the person is like, oh, okay. So then they tell me, and then that's how the divine talks to me. They give me clues in split of a second. They're like, okay, this is where you're meant to find more answers at, AuroRa. So I decide, oh, okay, I'm going to go to this museum. So I do, and even I, you all, am surprised and wowed at what happens when I reach that museum. There is a complete mandala that happens once more. Epic. Try to see if I can share this part of the story. So, let me see. I think I can. Let me see. I'm talking to Divine Mother. It's always only source of light is allowed within the space. This entire video is only source of light. Phoenix fire, source purifying flames, haters, trolls, don't even bother. Keep your entity to yourself. I'm too sovereign. Doesn't work. It'll be yours to transmute. So, with that, I really need a Palo Santo. 1 second. And I am out. I'm going to run. Get in here 1 second. Give me some real fire. Okay. So here's some. All right. Fire to guide me. Okay. All right, guide us. It's fire. Okay, what happens is that I park, right? When I park, there is like, you know how you go to like, what do they call them? Like kind of like a, oh, I don't know what we call it nowadays. What do we call it? Like a farm place, like where they sell stands, like a little fair, I guess, or a little. Okay, that's happening. So I park, and there's like stands, and people are selling bread for some reason. And Chicago people, they're really happy. They're walking around. They have their dogs with them, and it's like the museum's the opposite direction, but this parking lot's right in front of this area where there's, you know, like a garden type street and grass and trees, right? So sidewalks, and so then Divine Mother says, go there. I said, okay. She wanted me to go there just really quick. I didn't need to buy anything, but I walk in and I look at all the stands. They have all sorts of like farmers market, that's type of stands, right? People selling, but mostly bread. And at one stand, people have dogs, and one stand has like, you know, earwigs. What is this called? What do they call it? Not earwigs. The dried ears, and like the dried up pig ears, and like, you know, the things that they sell for animals for treats that they could buy them. Dogs are really excited about it. Yeah. There's mud. There's mud all over the ground because there's so many people that have passed by. And I'll tell you a little bit what happens when I'm done with the museum. Okay, so then I check that out, right? And then I go here. Okay, so then I decide, okay, I'm just gonna go to the museum now. I checked out this place enough, right? So then what happens here this is what happens here. I try to organize. Something interesting happened too when I try to organize these pictures into a folder. You know how like the Apple phone, like if you have an Apple phone, like it will organize it by date, right? And time. It didn't do that. It scrambled every single image. Every image is scrambled. So, yeah. I think there's a deeper message to that. What happened? Why couldn't the pictures organize in a regular way of date and time? Then you also saw me show a video, right? Was it this one? Let me find the right video. Me cruising down Lakeshore Drive. And I posted on my social medias. If you don't watch me, if you don't follow me on social medias, make sure you do. I also, Patreon, my websites. Hold on, it's kind of frozen. 1 second. Share. Give it a minute. And yeah, make sure you follow me somewhere. Okay. Because that way you're informed in real-time space when this amazing things are happening, okay? What happens is that Lake Michigan now, as you know, I have been living here for 45 years. I turned 45 April 6th this year. 45 years, born and raised in Chicago, right? Those of you who have been to Chicago, never in my life, the water has been dark, typically, and pretty, no color to her. Now she's changed throughout the years. Oh, I just realized, oh my God, no wonder my audio was weird. You all? Ay, ay, ay. Realize I never had the mic connected. Hold on, let me make sure the mic is connected. My apologies on that. Hopefully the sound was okay. Microphone. Okay, you guys probably hear me a lot better. Okay, so that's all right. It has a meaning. It has a meaning to Mother Earth, right? She's like, now you can hear me. Okay, and the dream that I had, right? So the water has been, and here we are. I look over and I'm driving out to Kendrick Lamar, and the water is turquoise, teal, green, blue-green. Now, you might hear all these different stories about Chicago, but this is really what Chicago's about, you all. Right here, this is the real thing. There's nothing scary about Chicago. Just be aware, but we're a normal city. What's up? Okay. And cool, Bible with me, guys. So he wrote a song about Drake. I think it's this one. He's talking about Drake and he's a pedo, so that's why I like listening to that. All right, so that happens, okay? So I'm jamming out to a rapper busting on a pedo, which I'm cool with that. Okay, so we come into this museum. Remember what that color of water looks like, okay? So here, I'm just gonna go in order. Let me make sure I'm good before I share, because I couldn't organize it in a folder. Yeah, I think I'm good. I went through all of them last night. Yep. Oh my God, you guys. This is every dream come true for all of us researching the real history, right, of Tartaria. Okay, here we go. So I'll just go in order. My pictures. Here we are. Chicago History Museum, right? And it's talking about McCormick. There's some buildings. WGN-TV, 1948, the founder, right? Then I walk in and there is a map on the floor, which I'll show you eventually. But Look at that, you all. The map drawn now on the floor, right when you walk into the lobby of this museum, has the Century of Progress World's Fair. It's there. Jackson Park. On a map, okay? Worlds Columbian Exposition. There's that. And the Worlds Columbian Exposition located on the map, right? So they have like different, important. Here. Look at that. I record it. Okay. And that is when it's begun. Right there. Remember when I first started making the videos, we're like, the Lady of the Republic, this golden lady, where was she? Where was it? Now it says it. It's in Jackson Park. There's a map drawn here. Okay. All right. Navy Pier. So over. It's just Al Capone there. But yeah. Okay. No joke, you all. I mean, I can't make this stuff up anymore, you all. Like, if you question me at any point, and I know you didn't though, but I'm talking to those trolls that question me, and we're like, what? Ghosting us and our content, and everyone else who talked about it. Like, what? It's not real. What? Oh, okay. Yes, it is. It's in Chicago's History Museum. So, okay, so now that we see this, can you all tell me, please go to your histories museums everywhere you're at, and go fast, and tell me, have your history museums shifted from being false data? Remember how we went to the Nashville, like the Parthenon, right? We've got found the golden Athena, and they were like, I had all this false information. Talk about, like, there was pictures of blacks there. We've covered it, right? So much. And they were talking about they were slaves, but they looked like they were free, and they looked like they were teachers and like pristine people. Like all that false data. Interesting enough, I went to this museum and I had forgotten. I went to this museum long ago. My children were young then. And I sat there, and I listened in that theater where the McCormick guy was at. That theater there, it was like a little theater in there where they play movies at, and they had us watch all these children. They were having them watch from school, like a movie about over and over. And I remember I was starting to wake up then. I was really agitated at this museum because it was so false. Every corner was false, inverted history. You all, this is how big this is. This is how I explained to you, we Mandela into other worlds. So tell me, is your museum up to date with World's Fair information? Are you finding World's Fair pictures and locations all over where you go? And the other question I have for you, we remember that back then when I started talking about Antarctica series in 2022, before it blew up to being this popular, okay, back then, you remember that, drink water, how hard it was, and they kept telling us that it wasn't real, right? So now, this is trippy, really cool, right? Okay. And do you remember how it was erased? Like, there was no world fairs ever, right? This marks a very big point, you all. Huge evolution and expansion of humankind and their brains and their consciousness and their memory and healing potentials. Oh, it's so big. Okay. So, it's like, I am trying to articulate many different timelines. Both the timeline when I was making those videos with you guys back then to all of them and then in the now, and it's okay. So do you remember expositions? Because back then when I was making those videos, no one remembered the expositions. Now though, since both the eclipse of Antarctica that happened in February this year, and before that, also a couple months before that, when I found those postcards to the series, right? People started telling me then, oh, I guess I remember them. I was like, wait a minute, I've known you for years. You've never told me this. Never. I've been in a world where I'm telling people they were real and trying to find the data. You've never told me. So which one are you? What spectrum are you at? Do you remember? Write in comments. I want to know. Do you remember that no one remember World's Fairs? I mean, we were finding data and information. We're like, it's real, right? Do you remember that timeline where no one remembered it, right? 1, 2. Or are you the one that are like, oh, no, I remember some. Yeah, we remember we talked about it. Are you? 3. Wait a minute. If there's a whole museum made on World's Fairs, okay, does that mean people remember the World's Fair? Like, do you remember school talking about it? Do you remember your grandparents and mothers talking about it? Because in the world we existed in number 1, no one remembered anything. That energy was wiped. We talked about for hundreds of videos, dozens of videos about what happened to people's memories and how they were jabbed and that memory was erased from them and that's why they can't remember them. Well, which one are you? 1, 2, or 3? Let me know. I'm 1. Because I've been doing the work. I remember, none of you remember. And then I saw the gradual shift to you guys saying, oh, yeah, there was some in my country. Wait a minute, you've never said it. 2, 3. What about the regular people? If there's a museum and there's crew, like, boat tours in down Chicago, like Michigan, that talk about it like it's a matter of fact thing, is it matter of fact for people who are, say, not as awakened as us? Can you ask your people Can you ask them? Do they remember the World's Fairs? Can you do that for me? And email me. I infinitely appreciate you for that, and we could talk about it next video. risingphoenixaura@gmail.com. Write me. Let me know what did you, or write right now in comments if you're watching live right now, or write it in comments after too, into this video if you didn't watch this live. What do the people what do they remember? 1, 2, or 3? And what do you remember? Let me read the comments right now. What are you guys remembering? Let me see. 1, 2, or 3 comments. Comments. Where are we? You guys are not writing. Write it in comments. Come on. You're there? Write it. Let me know. What do you remember? 1, 2, or 3? I know it's a little bit of a delay. Someone said, what? No way, A.U.R.A. You don't look a day over 23. Ah, thank you. You're so sweet. I age regress a lot. I work with my cells quantumly, down to the micro level, subatomic level, atomic level, mitochondria that powers up the cells. And I constantly, the love, heals and age regresses you. Yeah. Someone said, I remember the World's Fairs. There is also a movie with St. Louis World's Fairs called Meet Me in St. Louis. That was a pretty old movie. No, you all, that was not in part 1 option. Oh, yes. Oh my God, you all. We are in a completely different world, Earth. You're kidding me. No, there was not a movie, I am telling you right now, of World's Fairs. World Fair, 1963, 1935, Queens, New York. What? You guys are freaking me out. Oh. Someone said, we remember, especially our people. We remember, especially our people, because they have had Filipinos in cages like they were in animals. Wait, what? Like when? Like in a World Fair? Can you explain that further? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. And I'm gonna come back to tell me what you remember. Come on, freak me out awesomely here, right now. Like, what does that even mean to my content? Did my videos change? Guys, okay, all right, so we got that. All right, so what happens here, I'm gonna keep going down, okay? So this is like go as quick as I can here. Got another 30 minutes. This is a flag, one of the older flags of 1803, 1812, okay? Nice. It's an eagle, but really, is she an eagle or a phoenix? Are eagles really phoenixes? I think so. Okay, this is before even the stars are on there. All right, boom, here we go. We go in, this is what's there. Guys, how many times do you guys remember? Tell me in comments. Do you remember me referencing this picture? All the time. They have it in the museum like it's matter of fact. And here it is, Worlds Columbian Exposition, 1893. And they have it translated in Spanish. Just 22 years after the Great Fire, Chicago hosted the World's Columbian Exposition. This World's Fair marked both Chicago's remarkable comeback. Okay, back to the memory. When I was there, long ago, well, not long ago, but when my children were younger, there were students there with me. Okay, because I volunteered for the school at that moment. And this video is all about the fire and the cow, and it's so frustrating, right? Like, oh my God. And the whole entire museum is about a fake fire, and it's driving me crazy. You all, this is really cool, trippy for me, because I was there at that museum and this wasn't there. None of this. This only began to happen when I started making this exact series to the World's Fair and the book that I found. Okay, all right, let's go more into this. So yeah, so then it marked the world's, both Chicago's remarkable comeback as well as the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus' arrival in the Americas. The event became a defining moment in the city's history. It says here, fairgoers overlooking the fair's Grand Basin. Okay, some of the best known architects in America designed the fair's spectacular buildings, lagoons, and palisades. I don't know how to say that, palisades. Although built from inexpensive materials. I don't think so. See, but this is, see, they're still explaining that, right, the buildings still, something's happening. The buildings are there, but we know in the last American, they weren't just there. And we know that these now fires that we understand, laser fires, were targeting the buildings, but a lot of these buildings would be hard to get rid of because marble absorbs the fire. You can't destroy stone marble. You can't. That's why you have tile in your bathroom floor, right? And it keeps fire out. Okay, so that's the reaction you'd be having there. Okay. So it's okay, but we're regaining the memory back. So it was built from marble. So the structures appeared to be made out of marble. No, they didn't. So we're still finding some lies here, but it's okay. Marble, limestone, and gold. Just to the west of the White City, the Midway offered a carnival-like atmosphere with wildly popular amusements. The fair also featured 130,000 light bulbs, a new invention for evening visits. More than 27 million visitors came to see the fair in the 6 months it was open.
I was there.
You were there?
I remember eating popcorn and listening to The Rising Phoenix.
How? That had to have been a past life. So, what? Okay. All right, so I'm going to contain my excitement, but note that I am incredibly excited and I'm barely able to sit down right now. Can you find this as the Statue of the Republic, a gondola for fairgoers? This is the magnificent buildings of the White City caught fire and burned after the fair closed. The Statue of the Republic. So hold on, there was another fire after, because I thought there was a fire before the World's Fair in 1877, right? 1871, whatever. But this is in 1893. Why was there a fire after? Another fire, you all. They targeted her again. Disgusting. Okay. Let's keep going. Close up on that. I'm so excited about this. I gotta show this to you now, guys. See this picture? No joke. Inside this museum, you could buy this in a mug. Here, let me show you. Because I was freaking out about some stuff from there. Here. Okay. Mug. Let me show you some of the stuff you could buy here. And Abraham Lincoln's in there. So, what? You could buy a mug. Guys. Look. Entire display. I bought this map here and this painting here. Right here. I bought them. Thank you, Angels, for putting it half off for me. 50% off. I couldn't pass the deal. They have candles from the Worlds Exposition. They have books. They have puzzles. They have ornaments. They have postcards. It is wow, y'all. Worlds Columbian Exposition, 1893. Memorabilia. White City. Want a candle? I mean, these candles would be pretty cool. They take you back to the time space of 1893. I mean, here, like, there's images of the fire, right? Yeah, teaser to some of what I found in here. Let me read your guys' comments, though. Okay. What else do you guys have? We remember, especially, yeah, we said that, yes, at the fairs in the early 1900s, they had Filipinos as part of the exhibits. Yes, I'm not making it up. I just found an article about it. What? Let me see.
Do you know what a foresight is?
What is that? Let me try to get this to play. Skip that ad, and once I get to that ad, what do you mean? Well, we know they did that kind of stuff, but hold on, it's got an ad. I gotta wait a couple seconds for it to go finish. Okay, so what else are you saying in chat? The Filipinos like, nah, we ain't timeline jumping this one, y'all. Hello, we're not over it yet. Yeah, for sure, right? We remember. That means the Filipinos need some healing, don't they? You went twice to Chicago to fair? Whoa, you've never seen this in Chicago. I know. Me either. Never. Because it just came in. It just Mandelaed in. Okay, what is this? All right. I'm not going to play the whole video because it's 4 minutes, but I think to what the person was talking about, the Filipinos.
Nearly 1,200 Filipinos were flown to the U.S. to take part in the World's Fair in St. Louis. Some worked as guides.
The news, guys, the news is talking about the World's Fairs too. I have another video somewhere where the news was talking about it randomly. Oh, I gotta find it on TikTok. They were talking about the cherry blossoms by the museums.
Others were put on display. Now, more than a century later, a new exhibit explores the impact in St. Louis and beyond. Our communities correspondent, Gabrielle Hayes, has this report.
The 1904 World's Fair, 20 million visitors, the newest marvels in art, architecture, and technology.
You guys, St. Louis? Who lives in St. Louis? You need to go check it out. They have it displayed in one of your museums. What is that? What museum is that? Do you know where that's at? Okay, go check it out. Let me know. Send me pictures and videos. They have it like us.
1904 World's Fair, 20 million visitors, the newest marvels in art, architecture, and technology. A giant Ferris wheel, ice cream, and hundreds of human beings on display.
120 years later, there's still people who have perceptions of Filipinos as savages and as primitives. I have gotten questions in the last year asking me if there are buildings in the Philippines.
Rhea Unson's great-grandfather, Ramon Ochoa, was brought to St. Louis in 1904 to be a pensionado at the fair, a sort of ambassador promoting the influence of Western culture on their home country.
So I happened to Google his name, and this image pattern came up with him on the steps at Festival Hall. Now,
Ochoa was part of the Philippine Village, the largest section of the fair, a 47-acre display designed to introduce Americans to the then newly acquired territory.
it costs a lot of money.
Wow, that's not cool. Okay. So, let me continue on. What else we got? Saying up to the Filipinos. They had some more stuff going on at those World Fairs, not just investment. There was also some other stuff like that, and those incubator babies. Okay, keeping an eye on your comments. Looking good so far. All right, thank you for that. We'll save that link, Gina. Okay, let me keep showing you the pictures. Back. Okay. So I'm not going to read every single detail so we can get through. I mean, we've already been here almost 2 hours. So there's that. They go into like just different, things that you would have seen at the World's Fair. Ferris wheels. Yep. And Chicago's fair designers wanted to feature something new at the fair to rival the spectacular Eiffel Tower and the icon of 1889 World's Fair Paris. Okay. So now we know the Eiffel Tower was built for the World's Fair in 1889. George Ferris, inspired by the bicycle wheel, invented the 264-foot tall Ferris wheel with 360 passengers, cars each holding 60 people. Ferris wheel at the Midway offered awesome views and helped cement Chicago's reputation as an innovative and imaginative city. Definitely a very imaginative city. Then it goes into the fires. So what does it say here? Let's see. So the 1871 fire before the 1893 World Fair that we're talking about. Around 9 p.m. on Sunday, October 8, 1871. A fire started southwest of downtown Chicago. Firefighters fought the blaze using water from buckets, hand-pumped hoses, and a few steam-powered pumpers. But strong winds whipped the fire out of control and engulfed in the city. Terrified men, women, and children rushed toward the Lake Michigan in a fire chase, just like Lahaina, into the water. Them through the dune. If you go into the waters of Lake Michigan that's not gonna really. Those waters are oceans. There's tides within tides inside that water. Those tides will take you. Not somewhere you want to go. Michigan as the fire chased them through the dune city. Finally, on Tuesday morning, Sunday through Tuesday morning, October 10th. October 10. Holy moly. Ay, ay, ay. ¿Qué pasó? Or practitioners, you know that date. Chan chan. Okay, some Goddess on Unseen. Come on, let's go. Goddess on Unseen is the 10. She eradicates, completes, and brings the truth. Some much needed rain helped to stop the blaze. The fire had destroyed over, so on 1010, she stops it basically. Oh, the fire had destroyed over 18,000 buildings, killed more than 300 people. I'm sure that it killed more than that, and left a third of the city's population homeless. That would have been thousands of people died. The Great Chicago Fire forced many residents to flee the bordering city for Lake Michigan. Those that they went into with their boats. Look at that. Chicago still, the people still have their boats there, like in their parked in the water areas. I don't know what you call them. Chicago's tragedy was front page news as the city rebuilt. The world followed its progress. For many, Chicago's amazing recovery symbolized American values such as hard work, determination, and ingenuity. Amazingly, most signs of the destruction were gone within a year. Shows how fast we can heal. Can you find Lake Michigan, a train, churches? And this is what it looked like after the fire. The Great Fire virtually destroyed Chicago's downtown. And aftermath of State Madison streets. Wow, for those of you who drove downtown, I mean, it's one of the main streets you drive by, Madison. But, so this is what they have there, and that's okay, that's closer to the truth, right? Because they're not going to be like, hey, aliens lasered everybody and spontaneously combusted the people and burned them randomly without fire touching them. But this is closer to the memory than we've ever seen. At least they have it noted and have displays of them now. And that's a picture illustration of the fire. Aftermath. Some would it look like, because some buildings would still stand. And this might be after the World's Fair. Fire. What year was that? Do you know when is the next fire after the 1893 World's Fair that they're referencing there? There's kind of illustration. Great Chicago Fire, October 8 to 10. 1871. Map showing the burnt district. This is what, right there, where it burnt. Published for the benefit of the relief fund by 3rd edition. The Studley Company, St. Louis. Wonder what streets those are. Looks like it's from, need a better picture of this, kind of blurry. Lincoln Park. That's where the museum's at, in Lincoln Park. It's called Lincoln Park because it's dedicated to Lincoln. There's like a statue of him, you know, Abraham Lincoln, who began to free the slaves, right? The African American standing there with his fedora hat, telling us to come. There was also like information there about the rights of African Americans there in the museum too. It burned where the museum stood, you all. Stop it. I mean, don't stop. What? And it went all the way to, what are these streets? Canal, Port Avenue, South Branch, Chicago. What streets do I recognize here? Let me turn this, easier to read. Okay, not that way. Can I read it that way? Is it upside down now? Oh no. Oh, right there. Monroe, Van Buren, Madison, Washington, Randolph, all these are the main streets to downtown. O'Brien, Wilson, it ends somewhere here in, is that 18th Street? You're kidding, 18th Street? It went into 18th Street. I was just there at 18th Street. There is a Mexican museum that I was talking about, the Mexican art there in one of my courses that was important to understand the levels of that we are at a subatomic level. The museum is there. Okay. All right, guys. And then it goes all the way up to Lincoln Park, to 18th Street. Why did it make this shape? Look at this shape. This is an interesting shape. And it stopped in there, right there. Tonantzin. Tonantzin. Goddess Tonantzin Ishtel, the Mayan goddess. That's all her. She stopped it right there. She stopped it right at that corner. What does this look like? A whale or something? Is this a whale? What do you guys think this looks like? Oh my God. I just bought something. I can't show it to you because it's my personal use. But I just bought, I got my Vajda, right? You've seen it in my Vajda and my bell from Japan, right? So I bought this other piece because I'm really inspired by Divine Mother Kuan Yin, and I'm like, oh, hey, I want some more sacred Buddhist. I don't know what to call them, but Buddhist sacred tools. And it looks, this shape that I bought looks just like that. It's made out of copper. Okay, anyways. All right, so, okay, I'm going to try to move on from that picture, but let me see what comments and questions you guys have so far. Yeah. Questions. Let's see. Someone says, so the Guardians of the Land got trapped in a subatomic level 2. That means that they are coming back. Yes. You got it. Exactly. This is exactly what happened. Kuan Yin talked about that. And then we talk about it very deeply in my mystery school. So do you think that they use the World's Fairs as an explanation for the beautiful Tartarian buildings? Yes. Trying to trick people in thinking that they were built by plaster just for the fairs. So there's no way. So there's a field museum and like the Science and Industry Museum and also the Shadow Aquarium. They're all remaining buildings of this space, and they're made by granite and marble. Those didn't burn. So, I mean, those are from those. It even actually, there's facts on it in the books. Like, it's called the Arts Museum. I have to look into that though. I'm not gonna talk about it, but the Field Museum is in there, and if they claim it's plaster, why is it still up? And it's made out of marble. So that completely makes their lie fall apart. Yep. So exactly. So someone said there's about 5,400 data centers in the United States, and many more are being built. What can we do to protect ourselves against threat posed by these centers? Those data centers consume an insane amount of water and extremely polluted. Horrible. Yeah, we need to stand up and not allow that. The people need to, what we always say, y'all protest, don't align it, don't sell out, don't sell your home, but we know that they've also been making fires, right? We've been hearing about that to make the people leave for these data centers. And I have an A.U.R.A regression video on Spider Lady Goes Boom that you want to watch, that we talk more about these data. No, those are no good, bad, really bad. We need to eradicate those and not consent to them, and just simply try to get some of these important people like Robert Kennedy to look at these data centers and not consent. Yeah. Not okay. Okay, so what does a whale signify in this case? That shape. We know that, what was the whale's name? Gina, cute whale from Germany, right at the top. That happened. And everyone, especially in Germany, were so upset about the whale, they're trying to save the whale. Something very deep about that whale. Well, it's deep, guys. The whale represents like they're higher dimensional beings, really completely non-existing, yes, in physical form, but I mean they have some carbon-based material, but they really are beings of another world, of the ocean, and they're the guardians and protectors of the ocean, just like basically like the deers are the protectors of the forest, right? And so then these giant whales are the last remaining guardians that maybe we didn't see, like these guardians that we didn't see now, like we can't see now, right? Like from Shangri-La and all these magical beings that we have forgotten, and we read about them like they're mystical stories, but they're real. I teach that in the Isis Priestess course. These beautiful beings. So I'm telling you that they're a magical creature that still remain and has not, say, completely shifted out of the ocean and died off, like the rest of the magical creatures like griffins and dragons. They couldn't stay on in the earthly realm. The water protected the whales. So then the water is protecting, Lake Michigan water is protecting right here, this area. And she's telling us that we're going to get the memory back in the future, right? Just like we have right now. That's as far as I can go because there's so much. And we're going to have another part to this, guys. I did my best. It's a lot. More about the fires. They had telegraphic alarm system by the word of mouth, simply watching the sky for the plumes of smoke. That's how they communicated supposedly then. Okay. Oh my goodness. More on this fires. They have like this is kind of like a 3D. They made a little city out of it to display it. Let's see. Behind glass. Then there's the Saganash Tavern, 1833 here. And what do they talk about here? Like the owner of, so they talk about real people, guys, from Tartaria, from this time space, which is pretty cool. So this is his story of this man here, Billy Codwell, Canadian native. And then the hotels, the many activities. It's pretty awesome to be able to have seen like what some of the people and what they did in that time. So the hotel held Chicago's very first election in 1833. Just 28 voters elected the town's new officials in 1837. The city of 4,000 finally elected a mayor, William B. Ogden. At that time, Chicago had 398 dwellings, 5 churches, and 10 taverns. There's a tavern there. Okay. And I love this. Again, another kind of 3D model. It's so pretty the way that they make the moon looks real, doesn't it? But it's just, again, like a little dollhouse, I guess, and what supposedly it looked like then, but we know it had more buildings than that. Okay. So according to this, by 1860s, Chicago's booming population reached 100,000 people. The city saw its first, so this is before the fire, right? The first railroad and telegram. Oh yeah, and I had asked Gina about the fire. What was the next fire after the 1871? So over 37 fires with over 3 million acres burned. There were 4 major ones. No, I don't think you answered that one yet. Hold on. Where's the answer to, oh, you probably put it in order? What's the next fire after? Okay, bottom. Okay, got it. Fire after the fair closed. After the fair closed on October 30th, 1893, many buildings were dismantled. Also find it interesting that the fair was there in October. When I showed you guys that video, I was in October then, last year, right? And the guy on the boat tour is talking about the Chicago's fair, first time ever, right? We heard about that. Okay, so October, the fair. October, the fires again. The 1010 stops the fire. But according to this, okay, after the fair closed on October 30th, 1893, many buildings were dismantled, but some remain on site. A fire swept through the fairgrounds in early 1890s, before the fair's closure, and again shortly after, destroying many of the remaining structures. Those aliens were so pissed off that this fair at the Heart of the Dragon had awakened so many people that there was 27 million that came to us in Chicago that they already started burning them. These post-fair fires were part of the reason so few buildings survived. The next significant fire, it's not quite true that, because there's the Tartarian buildings, you see them in downtown. The next significant fire linked to a World's Fair came in 1904. When the St. Louis World's Fair, Louisiana Purchase Exposition was still underway. On October 27, October 27th, 1904, a fire broke out in the fairgrounds, destroying large sections of Midway Plaza. In 1904 again, and other temporary buildings. Why are they, I mean, we know why they're burning it, but that's insane. This was one of the largest and most destructive fires at U.S. World Fairs, and occurred just months before the fair's official closure. That is nasty. Divine Mother does not consent to your inversions, and she's outed you, agents and dark agent Smiths. Courthouse, also known as City Hall, before and after the Great Chicago Fire. So it looks like the skeletal really remained. This building looks pretty intact. The inside, like the burn, probably wood and so on would have burned. I mean, if it's made out of marble, you'd have to hit it. Wouldn't you have to hit it to destruct it? You would. This looks like it's made out of marble or some kind of stone, lime or whatever, limestone. Something's going on. I think we'll discover more when we cover the fire book, San Francisco fire. Abraham Lincoln's massive funeral procession as it moved to Chicago toward the courthouse. So, okay, didn't know that his funeral and love for him happened here. Look at that. That's so World's Fair. This here. Wow, you don't see, architecture like that anymore. 1865. 1865. Huh. Right around the time of the freeing of the slaves of Abraham Lincoln. Then 1871 is the fire. this is a video that is displaying of at a 360 degree of what Chicago looks like in that time space of this that you're able to see. It's like, kind of like a panoramic picture, right? But it's a 360 degree. So you can see it here. Okay. And then here are the pictures, and that there is where you can see the 360 degree. People would go up it to look at this vision. So right here in 1858, Alexander Hessler shot 11 photographs of Chicago from the top of the courthouse together. So that was the courthouse. Is that still standing, Gina? Let me know. Chicago courthouse, does it still look like that? Together, send me the link at the top if there is. Together, the images created a panorama in a 360 degree view of Chicago shortly before the Great Fire of 1871. So shortly before, panorama stands as a lasting record of the city before it burned. Does that still stand, Gina? Let me know. And then there's more. Because again, remember, back then when I originally went, it was all false about a cow and a lady. It turns out this lady, I think she was awakened. I think she was like, you know, how the people who are asleep pick on the one that's awakened. I think that she just wasn't awakened and enlightened, and nobody liked her because she was not a clone, like those Cabbage Patch Kids. And they just pinned it on her cow. It's disgusting. Yeah. So no other History Museum artifacts. So let's see what it says. The Chicago History Museum first displayed them in 1932. These right here, these images. Okay. Cool. To show how Chicago grew from a few buildings on the shore of the Lake Michigan into one of America's most important cities. At the time, dioramas were considered a new exhibit technique borrowed from a natural history museum. These displays, guys, are pretty cool. They're there still, and they were made in 1932. That's wow. That's old. That's almost 100 years ago. They're still standing. Wow, that in itself is. Think about how many people in almost 100 years saw these displays and were the reason why we brought back the original memory. Wow. Thank you to all the souls who passed through this. At the time, were considered a new exhibit technique borrowed from natural history museums. So the dioramas show key people, events, and places from Chicago's early years. No other Chicago History Museum artifacts have been on display in this building longer than the dioramas. In 1951, the 7 scenes underwent their first renovation, restoring many figures and buildings in enhancing 3 scenes with light and motion. These have been sitting there since 1932 for us, or they Mandelaed in too. Since then, the dioramas in this new Mandela Earth we're in have been modified or repaired several times. In 2004, Chicago History Museum staff began restoring and cleaning the paint, backdrops, figures, building mechanics, and lighting effects. That's nice. Thank you for that. Rush Street Bridge, 1860. In a few decades, the city became a bustling American port thanks to Chicago's many water connections. People and products arrived from all over the world, and factories and warehouses crowded the riverbanks. What does that mean? Are you saying that there was deliveries happening to Lake Michigan? Hold on. Because, I mean, that's not a thing right now. Can you look into that, Gina? Or are they saying that we got... Okay, now what we do know is that supposedly Lake Michigan, if you go into it, someone told me that it could take you to New York. Hold on. Was this operable? Like, because they don't let you do that now. You could just kind of ride a little bit on the edge of Lake Michigan, but they don't let you go deeper into it. We're gonna have to look into that. Yeah. Chicago's courthouse from 1870s are not standing, still standing. Many were destroyed and replaced during the 19th century. I feel like something broke them too. Oh my goodness. Yeah, got that. Hold on. Dogs are gonna bark. A second. Hold on 1 minute, guys. I have huskies. Okay, we're back, but we're finishing up. We're over 2 hours. Oh my gosh, you all. This is deep. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what did you find, Gina? Questions, comments, and we're gonna finish up, guys. So that is not standing. Got that. Here's the information on Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan was a major transportation route for bringing goods into Chicago in the 1800s. That makes sense. It's also midpoint kind of to America. So it's like she's the heart, the chakra, right? The Nile, which Lake Michigan goes into the Mississippi River and then is like the spinal cord to the body, and she connects the rest of the bodies. Okay, so she was. Many were okay, so what does it say here? Lake Michigan was a major transportation route for bringing goods into Chicago in the 1800s, and it played a central role in the city's growth as a commercial hub. That makes sense. In the early 19th century, Chicago's location on Lake Michigan made it a natural port for receiving goods by water. Indigenous peoples had long used the lake for trade and travel, and by the 1800s, European settlers and traders were using it to move food, lumber. Gina, do we do this now? I don't think we do. Can you look that up? Why do we not do this anymore? European settlers and traders were using it and move food, lumber, and other supplies. The lake's connection to the lake to Chicago River and Des Plaines River allowed goods to be transferred to land routes leading to the Mississippi River and Gulf of Mexico. Yes, that I don't think we do that. I mean, kind of. I think there's some boats that do that, but do boats come in through Lake Michigan? No. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna just while we come back to that, I'm gonna look at your comments and questions, and we're gonna conclude the video. Y'all, I mean, I don't disappoint. I mean, just being silly. I mean, for real though, guys. This is next level. Next level. My gosh. All right. Okay. So I know for those of you who remember the Worlds Expositions, you're in number 2 to the option. I know to you it's like, what are you talking about? Expositions. But 2-1, for those of us who do not remember, the few of you who put that in comments, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me see. Questions to be answered. Got that. Got that. Okay, comments. Someone said, I went to a World's Fair in San Antonio, 1968, called the Hemisphere. Yeah, I'm sure you did. My husband went to the World's Fair in Seattle in 1962. I know, I had postcards I found on that first time ever. Like, boom, popped out at an antique store. You went to the tail head of the whale. I did. I did. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Okay, so that's it for comments, and there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, the timeline has Mandelaed in. We've all worked very hard, all of us. Tartarian lovers have worked very hard for this moment, you all. Let's congratulate each other. What's up, you all? Thank you. Humble thanks. Okay, so what does this mean? Wow. But let me see, what was the thing I had mentioned, Gina, that I was waiting for you to answer. So they don't do this now, right? They don't go through Lake Michigan anymore? I don't see that answer yet. Okay, yes, Lake Michigan is still used to move goods in Chicago today, though the scale types of cargo changed from 1800s. So they don't go into it. I think they move maybe along Lake Michigan. Are you saying that they go up Lake Michigan? Because there's like you're not allowed. There's a military, like, supposedly, maybe we Mandela that out too, but there's like, you got to get through this military gate, supposedly get into the ocean. I mean, remember that video I talked about in this series? Who knows, you all? But they're not going into Lake Michigan to transport goods. We have never seen that, ever. That's not a thing. You'd be seeing boats coming in and out of it. They're not. So today, the Port of Chicago, with terminals, Iroquois Landing, and Calumet Harbor, handles over 19 million. I think this may be like at the edge of the lake shore, but I'm talking about like in. So 19 million tons cargo annually, making it the busiest Great Lake ports. How general freight is now mostly transported by rail and truck. Lake Michigan remains a vital hub for bulk commodities such as sandstone, grain, and rock. Let me see that. So terminals, Iroquois and Calumet Harbor. What does that look like on a map? Okay. What? This is new, you all. This is new. No. Look at this. There's the port and it goes across to, what is this? This is like, is it Indiana or Wisconsin? That would be Indiana or Michigan too. So this is supposed to be where it goes. In? What? And then they travel up? I am telling you all, this is new. And then they go here near Kenosha. Okay, tell me, you all, if you live in Chicago, have you ever seen transporting it? What? It goes into Lake Michigan? Where? To where? What? Let me know. Do you have that memory? Zen, I mean, you've been living here. Do you ever... Was there boats transporting goods into Lake Michigan? What is your memory? Well, that's put Chicago back on the map, I'd say. That we're transporting goods now through Lake Michigan. Okay, you all, no joke. Zen, you still listening? I mean, what are your comments, guys? Those of you who live in Chicago. Let me talk. Let me ask them. Do you remember boats transporting? Okay, because I spoke about Lake Michigan has always been foggy, mist. You cannot go into it. I've even flown over it when I was going to Philadelphia once. Is it Philadelphia? Yeah. And we went through Lake Michigan. I saw starships in there, but there was no boats on there. There's starships, and it was completely foggy. Okay. Waiting for Zen to reply. You all, this is awesome. Pretty epic. Let's go. What's up? Okay. Stop the music for a second though. I gotta tell you, we have the Isis priestess. Well, Zen tells me about what his memories are. My husband. So, Isis priest course, mentorship, it's just a name. But basically, it's the teachings of Egypt. You learn the quantum alchemy channeling, how to channel divinely, source of light through this course for 6 months. You join us once a month. That's open enrollment right now, guys. Come sign up. That is this month, the 17th. May 17th, 1 p.m. Central Time. First class. I'm also teaching Quantum Galactic Akashic reading the following Sunday, the last Sunday of this month too, where you can learn how to travel the Akashic, call the records divinely for yourself and others to regain your memory. That's the easiest way, you all, to regain that memory that we've been talking about. Regain the waters, the consciousness, level up your consciousness so you can remember the sacred Kabbalah teachings from the Essenes and the Tree of Life knowledge. That is immense. We often reference the Tree of Life. These teachings go back to the Oracle of Delphi, Greek times, and then the Essenes. You all, this is a course that you don't want to miss. That's the Quantum Galactic Akashic reading again, the 5th Sunday of this month. Then the 3rd Sunday of this month, the 17th, is the Isis Priestess course. Again, teaching you how to go into the third eye and how it is a science and original teachings of Egypt, how to use your glands inside your brain. I'll leave it off with a video talking about the third eye. We'll end the video with this, and then goes into Yeshua and the 13th Merkaba star, 13th key star, the universal laws, and the way he used those universal laws to maintain him sovereign in all the ways that he activated all our hearts. That's one of the classes. Then magical creatures, mystical creatures, we reference them all the time. Come learn about them. This comes with sacred alchemy symbols that Divine Mother has given us to ensure that we're only talking to benevolence. Then we also talk about crystals, candles, and oils at levels that you have not heard anywhere. You all is deep. If you've been part of this course, write it in the comments. Go read the reviews about this. Wow. Then it goes into Yeah, crystals, candles, and oils, magical creatures, and goes into dream interpretation, understanding dream at different multi-levels of the different brainwaves of your mind, how to become a dream wielder and lucid dreams. And then there's sacred sex and how couples could use this sacred sex to heal and really create anything divinely that you can think of. You all, this is a course you don't want to miss if you're a male or a female. Make sure you sign up, y'all. It's time. You can sign up to that membership under my website, risingphoenixaurora.com. Also, aurapractitioners.com, my 2 websites, and Patreon, Rising Phoenix Mystery School. Don't miss that, you all. Let me see what my husband said about his memory. He said no. He said no. He said, but possibly in the past, he said, way before our time. This is gonna freak me out if I go to Lake Michigan and I'm seeing boats transporting merchandise back and forth. Okay. Those of you who came to this fun retreat I hosted here in Chicago for the practitioners, you guys remember you had to get through the military gates, and I mean, people could only hang out at the certain part. You can't get past. There's no boats transporting back and forth. You remember that, right? If you went to that retreat in Chicago with me, you all, last year in October, when Divine Mother Tonancy told me that it had to be in October, I had no idea that the World's Fairs were in October then. I had no idea. We didn't know Jackson Park then. We didn't know the Statue of Republic. We didn't know all of this. October 2025. Began to Mandela that in. Do you remember boats transporting back and forth? What is your memory? Write it in the comments really quick, you all. All right? And then while you write it in the comments, I'm going to play this video really quick. I know I can't get it off of this, you all. We went almost 2 hours and a half. So here's the video that you want to watch under my Rising Phoenix Mystery School channels. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, go to all those pages, TikTok, go subscribe, because I only have a little bit of subscribers there right now, because I rolled it out last year, and we need more subscribers there. But here, right here, I just rolled out this video. Let's talk about let's talk about the science of the third eye, because this is how I'm doing it, you all. This is how I'm regaining. This is how I am activating my neurons, so I have more neurons in my brain to remember, so that my brain is not dense and is questioning and is finding the answers, you all. How are we doing this? Quantum Alchemy Channeling is how we're doing it. The Isis Priest course, that course is teaching you that divinely. And here's the video here. While I wait for you guys to tell me what you remembered of that Chicago retreat. Welcome to Rising Phoenix Mystery School Wellness Center. I am AuroRa. Today we're answering the question about what is the third eye? Is it even a real thing? Of course it is. Your third eye is made up of 7 major glands, all the different glands inside your brain. They factually do make up an eye, which you can see referenced in all ancient cultures, mostly Egyptian. Each one of these glands is also connected to all the different senses within your brain that communicate all day long. The 7 major glands are the corpus callosum, the pineal gland, the third ventricle, the cave of Brahma, the medulla oblongata, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. These 7 different senses make up every one of your clairs, which are your claircognitance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairtangency, and your clairalience. All these different clairs are one with these different glands. Together, they make up incredible super 7 senses that are constantly emitting and communicating, illustrating and articulating to you what's going on within you and your outside environment. Your third eye is existing within the connection of that you are a time traveling machine. Your brain is, your consciousness is. There's a video you can watch that on time travel. Initially, your brain, your third eye, is what connects you to the quantum. In dream time is really where the world is existing, is where you're a limitless, infinite being. The more that you crystallize, work on your third eye, these different glands in your brain, activating, making sure that you have no infringements within it. Some people carry implants, attachments, entities, dark portals within their third eye. You are consisted of portals. Your entire body is a portal. Even your heart is a portal, your brain. So it is up to you to ensure that the portal that you are, the bridge that you are, is vibrating at the clearest possible energy and beauty. The major ways that you begin this is going into these different glands and abilities to make sure that they are at the highest potence with no attachments, no hindering energies, so that they're able to oscillate and vibrate to the highest energetic field that they can. Ensure that you are all clear from your brain, your third eye. Then what happens is that it instantly puts you into time travel, into communications, to your higher self, to your angels, your guides. It is you link yourself directly to the divine, because you become a matching vibration to the higher frequency of what's trying to communicate to you. You are magnificence and brilliance in the ways that you have been created by Divine Mother and Father and Creator. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Add your questions below. I will ensure to answer them for you next time. What's up? Is that such a good video? I think it's awesome. 3 minutes explaining a bit of the third eye deeply. So let me see, and we're finishing up here. So someone said the bolt tours would have brought up the info about the cargo transformations, but there wasn't any. Thank you. All right, guys, we're done for today. Thank you. I love you, honor you, respect you. You are so incredible. Dance it off for a second. Have a beautiful weekend. Let's go. We are done. Come on, you all. We're regaining our memory. We're back. What's up? We did it. Question. Tesla always says, a brain does not question. Is it brain that is not thinking? I don't know what he says, something like that. But let's go, you all. Love you, honor you, I respect you. Thank you. See you next time. Thank you, loves. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.